Katie, have either of the Hardys joined yet? Roman has joined. Dr. Sullivan, you may begin.
Okay, we're ready?
Mhm.
Good morning, everyone. If we can, let's turn it over to our acting chairman. Supervisor Toops was unable to be with us this morning because of a medical appointment, but I want to just very briefly mention to you that I'd like to welcome you to the June meeting of the LCTCS Board of Supervisors, and thank you for taking a few minutes and thank you for being flexible. Before we begin, I'd like to cover a few points, given that we're holding a virtual meeting of the board and live streaming to YouTube. The meeting is being live streamed online. Please be mindful of that. Those joining by remote access are each asked to keep yourselves on mute during the meeting. Please use the raise hand feature if you have a comment or question. When recognized to speak, unmute yourself, give it a few seconds before you make your comments, and then return to mute to avoid background noise during the remainder of the meeting. If you have trouble with your technology at any point, you should text or call Ms. Kleinpeter, and you may view board items via the links posted on the LCTCS website. We'll conduct a roll call at the start of the meeting, and each motion will require a roll call vote as opposed to a voice vote as we typically handle matters. Members, please state your name when making a motion. Motions must be made via sound, not gesture. And public comments can be made during today's meeting via open conference call at 877-810-9415 with an access code of 6499147#. That information is in the notice of the meeting posted on the LCTCS website at www.lctcs.edu. And the final item, any public comments received will be read during the meeting by the board secretary or designee. All public comments must include an agenda item number, a name, and a brief statement. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes in total per comment. So with that, I will turn it over to Acting Chair Price to call the meeting to order.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Can everyone hear me okay? Good. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the LCTCS Board of Supervisors. Mr. Mickey Murphy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please, sir?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Sarah, would you conduct a roll call, please?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Supervisor Toops. Supervisor Price.
Here.
Supervisor Mount is present.
Present.
Supervisor Bradford is
Here.
present. Supervisor Carter is present. Supervisor Roman Hardy is present. Supervisor Tim Hardy, have you joined us yet, Supervisor Hardy? Supervisor Chip Jackson is present. Supervisor Erica McConduit is absent. Supervisor Michael Murphy is present. Supervisor Joe Potts is absent. Supervisor Stan Salath is absent. Supervisor Mark Smith. Stevie Smith is present. Supervisor Mark Spears is present. Supervisor Craig Spawn is here, we think.
He's up there.
Yep, Supervisor Spawn is present. And we also have Supervisors-elect Tara Mitchell present and Supervisor-elect Joshua Turner is present. Mr. Chairman, we do have a quorum of the board present.
All righty, thank you, ma'am. That's great. Appreciate everybody being here. This is gonna be fun somehow. So everybody just kind of do the best we can and we'll get through it. How's that? I would like to request a motion to amend the agenda and remove for review and advisement from items H16 and H17 regarding the LCTCS policy number 6.02, 6.02 social media. I need a
So
motion.
moved. This is Willie.
We have a motion by Mr. Murphy and second by Ms. Mount.
We have any discussion? Sarah, would you call the roll, please, to
To approve the amended agenda, yes, sir. I'll call the roll of those present. This is a yes or no vote. Supervisor Price,
yes?
Supervisor Mount,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Yes.
Supervisor Carter, Supervisor Carter, can you say yes? Supervisor Carter? You shake your head yes if you approve the amended agenda?
Say yes.
Ms. Helen, you say yes?
I don't know if she can hear.
I'm not sure if she can hear us.
Right.
Just skip over her for now and go back to the meeting.
Supervisor Roman Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Chip Jackson. Chip, can you nod yes? If you approve?
Very good.
Supervisor Murphy,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith,
Oh, hold on a second. Right, hold on.
Supervisor Smith,
On the phone.
yeah, let's see. Supervisor Smith, do you approve the amended agenda?
Yes.
Supervisor Spears,
Yes.
Supervisor Spawn. I think we've temporarily lost Mr. Spawn for a minute. We do have approval of the amended agenda.
All right, boy, I told y'all this was gonna be fun. Yes, Spawn got hacked or something, who knows? Now I would like to request a motion to approve the June 10th, 2020 meeting agenda as amended.
So moved. This is Willie.
Motion by Ms. Mount and second by Mr. Murphy.
Sarah, do you
What
think?
am I doing? I just, I ain't too worried about it. I mean, they.
We have a roll call vote to approve the new agenda. Supervisor Price,
Yes.
Supervisor Mount.
Yes.
You made the motion. Supervisor Bradford. Yes, we see you. Supervisor Carter. Yes.
Just raise your hand. We can't see.
Yes, ma'am. You can just raise your hand.
She's waving.
Supervisor Roman Hardy.
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy has not joined us yet. I do anticipate Tim joining us. Supervisor Jackson, nod your head yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Murphy,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Spears,
Yes.
Supervisor Spawn. Has he gotten back to his desk yet? Not yet. We have that motion approved.
All righty. For all the new folks that are tuning in for the first time, it's not like this. I just turn it over now to the, well, now it's my turn. I've got the board members. Roman Hardy. Hardy was sworn in by Leo Hamilton and Lonnie Sullivan on June the 2nd of 2020. Hardy, would you like to say a few words to the crowd?
Yeah, yes, sir. Sorry, it's a hard time finding mute. Just really happy to have the opportunity to join the Board of Supervisors and look forward to really working with you to further the LCTCS agenda. For those that don't know, I am a native of Louisiana, from the Lake Charles area, but had been away from Louisiana for almost 25 years. I worked with Shell Oil Company. Been doing so for almost 30 years and came back about 5 years ago to the greater Baton Rouge area to work with our facilities here. So it's been great to be back home in Louisiana and now to work to contribute to further the state's important work in this area. So look forward to working with everyone.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. We're looking forward to working with you and having you as a member of our board. I would like to take the opportunity now to thank our former student board members, Samantha Rushlow and Shanko Williams, for their time on the board over the last year. They really did a great job, and they will be missed, but we know that the new folks are going to do just as equally a good a job. I would like to welcome the newly elected student board members, Tara Mitchell and Joshua Turner. They have not been sworn in at this time, and of course they will be sworn in prior to the next meeting. If you would allow me, I would like to read their bios. Ms. Mitchell was a student enrolled at Baton Rouge Community College and majoring in business administration with a concentration in entrepreneurship. She is a native of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. She was elected BRCC SGA president in 2019 and was recently re-elected to serve a second term leading the college. Prior to being the SGA president, she served 2 years in the BRCC SGA Senate. Ms. Mitchell is the vice president of the Baton Rouge Community College Rotaract Club. She is a 2020 graduate of the inaugural class of the Leadership Development Academy. She served as the head chef at the Gregory inside of the Watermark Hotel before choosing to pursue an Associate's of Applied Science degree. Ms. Mitchell is a 2017 graduate of the BRCC Culinary Arts Program and did so with a 4.0 GPA, resulting in Chancellor's honors and a designation as first in her class. She plans on founding a nonprofit centered towards rebuilding her community, mentorship, and leadership development. She also hopes to pursue a career in politics or community leadership. Ms. Mitchell will serve as the community college representative on the board for the 2020-2021 term. She will also serve at the LCTS representative to the Board of Regents. Joshua Turner. Mr. Turner is an executive SGA president at Central Louisiana Technical Community College, where he leads and coordinates an elected body of his CLTCC campus presidents. A resident of Pollock, Louisiana, he is a second level practical nursing student at the CLTCC Rod Brady campus. He held many jobs in life prior to enrolling at CLTCC. During his journey to CLTCC, he served as a general manager at a fast food restaurant. He also managed both a small business and accounts with over 300 customers. Mr. Turner credits his life role as a Class A CDL driver as one that pushed him into the direction his life is headed now. Over the last 5 years or so, he recognized that working with a customer-oriented mindset and in a role that allows him to help people is where he wants to be. He plans on using his LPN license to help people achieve a higher level of health while simultaneously paying for an advanced nursing degree or AMD. He would like to use the communication and leadership skills that he gets from his SGA experience to spur his path to achieving a position in state or in federal government in the future. He's an avid reader who enjoys learning and having logical civil debates about social, economic, and educational issues. Mr. Turner will serve as the technical college representative on the board for the 2020-2021 term. Would like to now ask them both for their remarks. I guess we would go with Tara first. Tara, would you like to say something? Is she here? Yeah, there she is.
Hello, everyone. It
Hello.
will be my honor and pleasure to represent Baton Rouge Community College and our other colleges in Louisiana on the Board of Regents. And from what I was told by Dr. Barlow, I think this is the first time one of our students actually participated. So I'm very excited and I look forward to meeting and working with all of you in the future.
Good deal. Well, thank you, man. We do too. Joshua, or Supervisor Turner, I should say.
Well, hello, everyone. It's nice to meet all of y'all, even though it's through a computer. I can't wait to actually shake your hands in person. I'm just grateful for this opportunity and hope that I can do my best to represent higher education as a whole from a student perspective. And I'm just overjoyed to finally get this opportunity and be able to work with you all.
Good deal. Thank you, sir. We look forward to having y'all both with us for the next year, and you'll find this to be a pretty interesting group of folks to hang around with. I guess, Dr. Sullivan, you're up next with your report.
Yes, sir. Let me first begin by saying thank you to each one of you as board members. This is not altogether a comfortable environment for us to meet in. It's not the one that we're accustomed to, but it is what we have become accustomed to over the last few months as life has changed around us. And I want to really begin today's President's Report just by thanking you for the support that this board has given, the engagement that you have shown, even as life around you is changing and each of you are dealing with your own version of response to COVID-19. You each have been not only accessible, but you've also been supportive throughout. And we simply, as a leadership team, could not do this job without you. And we're thankful for the support. I want to just hit a couple of key items that I think are important for us to hear an update on, and then we'll continue on with the agenda. First and foremost, I want to give you a quick update on where we are with the COVID-19 response. I think you are aware that we transitioned in a very short period of time, about a week to 10 days. We're able to transition our general education courses into an online environment for our students in the spring semester of 2020, and just a Herculean effort by our faculty and staff to get that done in short order. Beyond that, we were able to continue to teach in a socially distanced environment. Our healthcare students were able to graduate about 2,100 new healthcare professionals early. We're able to get those folks graduated the last week of April, whereas it would have been second week of May. So we're able to get folks out into the market and be supportive of the work that needed to go on to prepare for, at that time, what we were referring to as the surge. So impressed with the work that our colleges have done. Immediately as we were able to get those healthcare graduates completed, we were then able to begin to focus on those occupations that were essential or designated as essential occupations by the folks at Homeland Security. And in any of those roles that had responsibility for manufacturing, as an example, for a whole range of other occupations, we were able to get those folks back into the college. We were, I'm blown away by the creativity and the innovation of our faculty and staff, of our administrators who are bringing students back into the classrooms, into a clean environment that has been cleaned by professionals. I want to thank Supervisor Roman Hardy, who provided some information that gave us access to folks who were able to help us to get these classrooms cleaned and also to clean them following each cycle of students that come in and are taught in those labs and in the classrooms. The spring semester has largely now wrapped up. We do have some students who, because of their status during the COVID-19 pandemic were unable to complete the spring semester. We've now been able to roll those students into the current summer. They are working their way through those classes. There were no penalties for students if you were unable to complete. We provided an I grade or an incomplete and allowed that student to complete during the summer timeframe. So we have kicked off summer enrollment at all of our colleges at this point. I'm proud to report that we have 3 institutions that have just tremendous enrollment increases during the summer timeframe. Nunez Community College, as an example, really big numbers there. South Louisiana Community College also seeing increases. Unfortunately, we do have colleges on the other end of the spectrum, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about that shortly, where we're seeing double-digit decreases. I think generally speaking, that points out where we are just as a collection of colleges and the uncertainty that is kind of creating challenges for us within the institutions. All in all, I will tell you that our COVID-19 response was a strong one that our chancellors, our leaders heeded your expectation from the resolution that was passed at the last board meeting, and have really picked up that responsibility and run with it. We have along the way, as I think I pointed out to you at our last meeting, we did lose some of our students. We did lose faculty and staff. And at this point, I think at an appropriate time, we would like to remember those individuals that we lost to COVID-19. And I think what I would suggest is the next time we're together in person, we would like to recognize those individuals and their contributions to our colleges and to our communities. The impact of COVID-19, while it may vary from community to community, it has touched nearly every person in the state. And as I talk to the leadership team and I hear from members of the group that have lost 5, 6, 7 individuals that are either family or family friends, it is a very difficult set of circumstances. If by chance your community has not been hit at the same level as some others, I just strongly urge you as leaders within your community to reinforce to people this pandemic is real. I'm blown away by the maybe ignorance is a little strong a term, but I'm blown away by the level of ignorance to the issue. And as each one of you lead within your communities and within your families, I strongly urge you to take the time to educate those around you about the difficulties around COVID-19. So let me pause there and just ask, are there any questions around our response to COVID-19 before we transition to the legislative and the budget side? All right, hearing none, we'll jump into the legislative update. I think all of you are aware that we wrapped up the regular legislative session on June 1st, and unfortunately the legislature was unable to produce a budget and a capital outlay bill. So with that, they went directly into a special session that began 1 minute after the regular session ended. That special session is set to convenes on June 1 and is expected to last through June 30. There was some hope early on that they may complete their work early. I doubt that's going to happen at this point, and given the pace of bills moving through the process. Perhaps the biggest challenge that exists in the Capitol at this point is the use of CARES Act money, this federal stimulus dollars, to sort of reinforce the state budget. Higher education is square in the middle of that discussion. What has been proposed at this point and what has passed out of the House Appropriations Committee and is headed, in fact, today to the House floor is a proposal that would create a means of financing swap for higher education. So effectively, the CARES Act dollar is being used to cover the cost of the corrections budget and the public safety budget, freeing up state general fund dollars to then be able to fund higher education. There is a proposed cut of about $23 million to higher education. We do anticipate that that will be kind of our best position and could potentially see additional cuts along the way. That $23 million in cuts as currently proposed would mean about a $4.5 million hit to the budget of our community and technical colleges. So while we do anticipate reductions, the bigger concern for us is not how we get through the 2021 fiscal year. The bigger concern is further down the line and what happens with the economy. When does the price of oil and gas return? When does the economy pick back up in terms of the entertainment, the gaming, travel and tourism side of things, as that's a big part of our revenue stream. So a lot to consider as we think about the budget and this special session. I'll point out also that there are a couple of opportunities that came along during the regular session. One of those is House Resolution 52 that proposed or urged and requests that the Board of Regents and the LCTCS board together conduct a study of the future of two-year colleges in Louisiana, how we go about delivering on the mission, and we'll have an opportunity to talk about that one in more detail at a later time. The session continues to be one that is contentious. There are philosophical differences that range from those who want to provide tax break to businesses to try to spur the economy, to those who are concerned about delivering benefits from the state and supporting the state budget. No matter where you stand on that continuum, I think we all agree that we have financial challenges as a state, as a nation, and perhaps one of the most important things that we can do is to continue to focus on the mission, educate and skill people, put them to work, give them an opportunity to contribute to the economy and to see this economy come roaring back as quickly as possible. So we have spent our time in that regard through a proposal that we have termed Reboot Louisiana. I've shared that proposal with you. The reboot concept is one that would take roughly $40 million as proposed of one-time federal funds, invest those in training of individuals in workforce training certification programs within our colleges that by training those individuals become taxpayers, contribute back to the state's economy. And the return on investment is a pretty compelling number. $40 million one-time investment equals an annual $50 million return on investment in tax collections. That does not take into account the savings for those who may be receiving state benefits. So we continue to plow forward with that message. We do have multiple possibilities for that funding. We were not able to gain funding during the regular session as the legislature did not produce a budget. But at this point, we feel very confident that there's somewhere in the neighborhood of $10 to $15 million that we'll receive as a part of this proposal. Not the entire 40, but certainly a benefit and one that gives our colleges an opportunity to jump in and do our part as a part of this budget and economic circumstance. So I'll pause there and ask if there are any questions on the legislative or budget front. All right, hearing none, let me go then to the next item, and it's one that I think all of us are aware of the events that have taken place over the last 2 to 3 weeks, and probably more like a month now in terms of the social unrest that is going on in our country. This is certainly a time of an awakening of sorts across this nation, but it is also one where our colleges, our students, our faculty and staff we all have to pause and remember that they are people, that they have their own set of experiences, they have their own beliefs and opinions, and we have to find a way as leaders within the system to ensure that there's a level of civility, that we encourage dialogue, that we encourage those to speak up, but we encourage them to do it in a manner that is without violence. And we encourage them to do it in a way that is constructive, that helps all of us to move forward. Quentin shared with you a statement that was published yesterday on Monday by the system. Collectively, I want to commend Quentin and Renee, the entire team, for compiling that statement and finding the right words to say to our collective communities that the community and technical college system and the individual colleges will be a place of dialogue. It will be a place of civility, and it will be a place of opportunity to move forward and see how we can make not just a set of colleges better or Louisiana better, but an America that is better for each and every one of us. So appreciate the support from this group. There have been multiple circumstances that many of you have reached out in reference to relating to protests that are happening either on campus or proximate to campus. Thank you for the eyes and ears that each one of you have been throughout this process. It is very important that we maintain the safety and security of our campuses, and it's that constant communication that allows us to stay out front. I also want to give a shout out to our friends at the Louisiana State Police. The folks at the Fusion Center are tremendous assets to this state. Without them, I'm not sure how we would have navigated the last 2 to 3 weeks. They have been really strong partners to us, and we're thankful to them. So let me stop there and ask if there are any questions along the line of the social unrest. Hearing none, I want to wrap up today's President's report with some news that, unfortunate news, of the passing of Dean of Humanities and Liberal Arts at South Louisiana Community College. Dr. Wright unfortunately passed away Monday night, and I just want to ask that each one of you keep Dr. Wright and his family in your prayers. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will turn it back to you. I'm sorry, I apologize. I missed the last item. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Got you, caught you off guard there.
Before that, Dr. Sullivan, I think that the chairman, I need to note for the record that Supervisors Toots and Supervisor Tim Hardy were able to join us, and so we welcome them. We will note on the record that they joined after the votes for the agenda welcome, but they will be participants in the votes for all of those. And then Supervisor Samantha Rushford did join us on the call. She is available today and available.
Sarah, I don't know if you can hear me, but you broke up about, I don't know, 2 minutes ago, and I was unable to hear what you'd said. I don't know who you're asking a question to.
Yeah, Sarah, Stevie Toop, same thing. You just went completely digital. We can't hear a thing.
Okay, can you guys hear us right now?
Yes.
Perfect. I let for the record that Supervisor Tim Hardy and Supervisor Stevie Toop joined us at approximately 10:25. And then also noted that we had Samantha Rushlow joining us to say a thank you to the board for her time on the board.
Yeah, that was something I missed, Monty. I did want Samantha to have the opportunity to say her goodbyes. You want to do that now?
Sure. That'll be great. Samantha, are you there? Are you with us? And you have a few comments you'd like to make to the board?
Yes, sir. I'm here. First, I would like to congratulate Joshua and Tara on being elected. This is going to be a life-changing experience for you, and I hope that you get everything out of it that I have. To the Board of Supervisors, I am eternally grateful for having the opportunity to serve with you for the past year. Y'all were kind, considerate, and you always made it a point to see how we were feeling, listen to our goals, and even give us advice to how we can reach those goals. Like I said, this has been a life-changing experience for myself, a very bittersweet moment, and I'm not gonna cry. And I am super proud of all the work that y'all do to make our communities better. And if it wasn't for you, along with the chancellors, I'm not sure where our state would be, especially with the community college side. So thank you very much for all your hard work. This will not be the last time y'all see me. And I can only hope to have another opportunity like this sometime in the future. So thank you all.
Thank you, Samantha. We really appreciate all the work that you did for your peers and for the board and for the state. It was a pleasure. It's been a pleasure getting to know you, and look forward to great things from you in the future. We appreciate your service to the board. Anybody
Thank you,
else?
Samantha, and great. You've been a tremendous leader on this board. We very much appreciate the spirit that you brought to the board, and also thank you for sharing your story with us, because your story is the story of our students. Yes, there are struggles, but those struggles create happy times when you are able to overcome those struggles. And thank you for being a constant reminder to each one of us of just how important this mission is to students and to real people. So thank you for that. And we know this will not be the last time we see you. So I know you'll make all of us proud and continue to do great things. With that, Mr. Chairman, I do have one other item as a part of the President's report that I inadvertently skipped over. As part of our work to reconsider the work of community and technical colleges, we made it clear that we understand that registration processes, that payment processes, that instruction, the entire gamut of what goes on within two-year colleges in Louisiana is impacted by COVID-19. So we convened a group of college leaders and staff here at the board office to look at each one of those functions and to begin to think of ways that we could better serve students, ways that we could be more accessible in terms of just the process of registration and admission. And so with that, I'd like to ask the Chancellor that chaired that group was Chancellor Aspinwall. I'd like to ask Chancellor Aspinwall and Dr. Cintron, if the two of them would, to just spend a few minutes talking about the changes that have occurred, the new approach that we're looking at in terms of how we sort of push the easy button for our students to get them into classes and into programs. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chancellor Aspinwall.
Well, good morning, Chair Price, President Sullivan. Appreciate you allowing me to talk with you this morning. It's nice to see that all of you are famous. You're up on the big screen or little screen on my end. I see you. So good. So I will get started very quickly. Early on in this pandemic crisis, President Sullivan gave all the chancellors a charge. He wanted us to not only think about how this was affecting us currently, but what would we do to make sure that our colleges were still functional and viable after this pandemic passes? So we met, the chancellors as a group, on April the 30th, and we discussed issues about what we've encountered so far through the COVID, how these issues have changed our business model, and what we learned during and from the crisis, and then what do we do as we move forward. And what we did is we formulated 5 basic principles that we hope we could develop further into a roadmap that help guide the future of our colleges. And I'll start with the first one. And I'll just read this briefly and give you some quick information. The first principle is that we're saying that colleges must plan, design, and create a financial model that will provide the funding necessary to allow students who are adversely affected by the COVID-19 crisis to move forward and complete their educational goals. We knew many of our students had to stop. Even though we went online with remote services, many of our students stopped because of their job and their childcare. So what we're trying to do is make sure when those students come back that the financial resources are there for them that won't place obstacles in their way. And some of those, a few bullet points here, we want to utilize some of the policies that are already in place where we can set aside funds from our tuition revenue to provide scholarships to the students. We already have a number of tuition waivers, such as the FFA, the JAG, Ready Tech Go, 5 for 6. We want to make those make the students more aware of those so they'll take advantage of them. And then the students whose expenses to attend college are not totally covered 100%, we want to make sure that we set up additional scholarships that can help those expenses be covered by 100%. And then last but not least, for the colleges who have an active and a functional foundation, the foundation is an excellent avenue for us to pursue additional financial resources. And they're always there because, you know, the basic function of our foundations is to help support the college. And much of that support is financial resources. So that's principle number 1. The second principle is that, and I'll read it quickly to you, the COVID-19 crisis has created uncertainty in the job market, and it's necessitated the development of a new occupational forecast that will help identify the in-demand jobs which will in turn help identify the training programs that will be needed within the next 3, 5, and 10 years. We're always doing occupational forecasts, but what we realize is that with this crisis, many of the jobs that we plan for and we train for today, when we go exit or we go on the backside of this crisis, they either won't be there or there'll be jobs there that we had no idea existed today. So we need to make sure we do an updated forecast so the efforts we put forth in training and develop the workforce, they're not in vain, that we begin to train a workforce who the jobs are there and that will be effective as we move forward. So that's principle number 2. Principle number 3, and Dr. Cintron will cover this in much more detail, but as you know, as this crisis started, we very quickly, as Dr. Sullivan said, we moved to an online environment, a remote environment, and the majority of our courses that could be and that were suitable, we put online. So what this did, matter of fact, it helped the students continue, but many of our faculty were very comfortable in an online environment. And many of those, some of our more technical and hard skill faculty, they don't teach much in an online environment. So what we wanted to make sure that was possible is that the equipment and the resources are there to make sure that they're properly trained and we can continue our environment. So very quickly to read this one to you, we say on principle 3 that careful planning must take place in order to ensure that the appropriate remote instructional delivery systems, and what we mean by that is a digitally inclusive educational environments, that these environments are in place and the equipment and training necessary to make these delivery systems functional are readily available for student and faculty use. Not only readily available, but we need to make sure that the students and the faculty are properly trained to use these systems, because you can have very nice functional systems, but if people don't have the proper training, then sometimes they're very useless. Okay, I will move on to principle 4. This one, I think LCTCS always takes the lead in, and this is our nimbleness and our responsiveness to industry. And the principle reads, institutions must develop, implement, and continually practice a culture of agility, nimbleness, and always be willing to respond quickly and appropriately to the needs of our customers. And if you'll bear with me, there's about 5 little bullets here. I would really like to read these to you because I think we did a good job with these. Because as I said before, the LCTCS is known as a premier provider of workforce development. And one of our strengths is our ability to be responsive, very quickly responsive to the needs of our business industry. So our first bullet says, the system president should continue to encourage and create an environment of innovation where new ideas are explored on a regular basis and leaders are encouraged to think outside the box to find solutions to challenges. Second bullet, the system must find ways to explore an openness to innovation when hiring chancellors and other staff members throughout the system. Bullet 3, there should be a regular proactive review of policies and procedures, system-wide and college to college, to ensure that the institutions are not continuing to deploy outdated policies. Bullet 4, we suggest an innovation award at the system and college level that recognizes individuals and programs that are leading the way. Bullet 5, the system should ensure appropriate legal and legislative support is provided in order to remove barriers that stifle innovation and nimbleness. And finally, training should be provided for chancellors and the leadership teams on agile management strategies. This was one I think that's very important to us as a leadership team, and we already do a very good job, but this will help guide our way, as we say, our roadmap. And last and finally, this one more directly relates to the pandemic and the crisis that we're going through. And I'll read this, it's a little lengthy, but let me read the principle to you. Colleges must plan, design, and create model programs that promote the health and well-being of faculty and staff. The data reporting the impacts of the coronavirus clearly indicate individuals with underlying health issues are adversely affected by the disease resulting from the virus. The long-term success of our colleges in serving the needs of our communities depends on the existence of well-prepared and trained faculty and staff being available to provide those services. Keeping our employees healthy is an important component of having long-term employees. And then as we go through and develop this, we basically point to our group health provider, which is Blue Cross and Blue Shield. They have an excellent array of healthy practices and healthy exercises and things that we can refer our employees to. We know that we can't mandate any of these things, but we feel it is very important to make sure that our faculty and staff are healthy. That way they can provide the excellent workforce development services to our customers, which are our students. So that's our 5 guiding principles. Appreciate you allowing me to discuss those with you, and I'll be open to any questions. Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Thank you, Chancellor Aspinwall. And just to ask if Renee, do you have anything to add just as backup to what we've heard from Chancellor Aspinwall?
Sure. Thank you, President Sullivan. Good morning, members of the board. I'll expand on principle number 3, which is the digital inclusive educational framework that takes 2 pieces and 2 parts that are equally important. And that is to enhance our course delivery mechanisms and to tackle the digital divide in our communities. As Dr. Sullivan mentioned earlier, we transitioned 10,000 course sections this spring. That was a remarkable effort that required a lot of training for faculty, but also a lot of training for the 70,000 students that we were able to continue in their coursework, whether it was academic programs, adult education, or workforce development. Our colleges did a tremendous job with online tutorials for students, for faculty, hosted trainings, set up buddy systems, Zoom, WebEx, you name it. There were even faculty that were texting assignments to students and the students were texting them back. Above and beyond what could have been done. And what the Chancellor's Beyond the Pandemic plan proposes is a sustainable method for these one-time activities. So while it's important that we utilize these technologies asynchronously or synchronously, we have to make sure that every course in LCTCS incorporates these digital literacy techniques. So for example, courses that were formerly taught 100% in person are now transitioned to a hybrid or online design. Courses requiring hands-on applications and assessment of skills now utilize the appropriate mixture of online simulations and other e-learning technologies to enhance the digital literacy aspect. As I mentioned before, that's one aspect of this, is to transition courses to this new modality. The other side of this is, which is equally important, is to ensure that our faculty and students are prepared. Faculty training is ongoing. We have provided many opportunities for students to be successful in their courses. In fact, about over 400 laptops are being distributed over the next couple of weeks. Continuing professional development for both faculty and students is ongoing to ensure that everyone is able to be successful in all parts of the state in the digital inclusive area, which in summary encompasses the 2 pieces that I've talked about, which is the change in the course delivery at the same time as we're ensuring that there's digital inclusion in all parts and all areas of our communities, which is very important here. And that's the digital inclusive educational environment that is the 3rd principle in the Beyond the Pandemic Task Force recommendations from the chancellors. And it's important that we keep a balance between those 2 as we move more and more into a digitally inclusive world. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cintron. And as you can see, the COVID-19 has not just been a health-related issue. It has been an issue that has had a huge sweeping impact for all of us in life. And just as we do in any other issue in any other time, the quality of the leadership of folks like Chancellor Aspinwall and Dr. Cintron has really placed us in a position to be able to respond and not simply survive through a pandemic, but to use it as an opportunity to fundamentally leapfrog the work that we do and to become even better at delivering on the mission. So thank you for the great work that the 2 of you are doing and the entire leadership team. So let me just ask if there are questions of either of our 2 presenters.
Monty, this is Chip. I guess my question is, and this obviously we need to be moving in this direction. What about student services to students as we move more of our courses to an online environment? Are we paying attention to increasing the level of services? I'm thinking of advising and things like that, so our students can make sure that they get those student services that, that they may not have to come to campus to get. I'm just wondering, are we also, while we're looking at academic, moving online more and on academics, are we also paying attention to student services?
Great question. And I'll turn to Chancellor Aspinwall or Dr. Cintron and ask them to weigh in.
Yeah, very quickly. Yes, although the majority of our students are not on campus, our student services staff are reaching out to those. They're emailing them, they're calling them. Many of our services, like our health center is back open, our food pantry is open, our mental health system and our counseling services are available, because we realize that, without some of these basic support services, the students will not be able to continue, and some of them won't come back. So yes, we are continually reaching out to those. And some of this online environment is a new environment to them. So we're doing all that we can to make them more comfortable and more at ease, but not losing touch with them.
Great, thank you.
Good. Other questions or thoughts?
Yeah, this is Roman Hardy. I was curious about any challenges you faced as you've moved more down this digital way of working. So what are the students struggling with, and what as a system are we struggling with?
I would just point out first and foremost, the biggest challenge we're facing right now is connectivity, primarily for our students. It is a really big issue in the rural parts of Louisiana. Supervisor Turner, I think about where you reside, and the impact that the lack of internet access presents for folks in communities all across Louisiana in the rural areas. So that's one, but I'll turn it to Chancellor Aspinwall and Dr. Cintron. Any thoughts?
Renee, you want to take this one?
Yeah, I'll take this one. Thank you. As Dr. Salvo mentioned, it is important to make sure that we reach access all over, and this is why the laptops are being issued. Those laptops come with internet access and the satellite connection to the internet. Some of the struggles that we faced were immediate to the situation over the last 3 months, and then some are a little bit longer term. I mean, the one with the digital divide in our communities, that's a long-term issue. The fact that we have continuously the reason for our students leaving our colleges or dropping out of classes is not related to academics. In fact, 82% of students cite their health, transportation, family obligations, work obligations, and a number of other matters for withdrawing. So understanding that there are those issues occurring at the same time as this situation is happening, it makes it all the more challenging. As Dr. Aspinwall mentioned, student services and faculty and advisors were reaching out, asking students what they needed, and we were able to reach out and engage with 92% of students during the spring semester to make sure that they continued their coursework. The remaining 8%, we were not able to reach in time. We reached to them later to re-engage. But it's a connectivity esse. It's also a digital literacy issue, depending on the level of knowledge and know-how and operating that environment. Also, the way that people learn is different. Some folks want to do things hands-on, and unfortunately, over these past few months, we have not been able to do that. But we've been able to do things that are pretty innovative with simulations and online simulations to assimilate to that hands-on environment as much as possible. And now, as we're able to reopen our campuses and engage with instruction and student services such as food pantries, as Dr. Aspinwall gave an example, we're able to expand to those students that were not able to be successful in the beginning. I think it's a combination of several things. The ongoing outside of school challenges that our students face day in and day out, combined with the situation, is something that we have to be aware of and ensure that we have the solutions. And we're working on those by asking questions. There have been a couple of student forums that have been held to find out more about what students need. We've sent out surveys and communications to find out what our students need. The same thing with faculty. It was interesting to see how many faculty members relied so heavily on the access and connectivity that they received while they were on campus and not in their homes. So it's a connectivity issue. I would say that's the most challenging aspect of this. Second by digital training, and it's a different method of teaching. It's a different method of learning that we have to become accustomed to going forward.
And Dr. Sullivan, this is Steve. I
Yes,
may
sir.
add, this is a perfect opportunity. We know connectivity is challenging, but for those who are not on the regular call with the governor's task force, this is the perfect opportunity to maybe explain to everyone the level of recognition that maybe for the first time in generations, the need for workforce, the need for upskilling is really bubbled to the forefront, and the role that the community colleges can play probably is what's pushing a lot of the challenges right in front of us. Connectivity is a big one, but Monty, to kind of outline for everyone how you've been working, how you've been for almost a year plus with the Secretary of Workforce, the Secretary of Revenue on single stop, the deployment of SNAP, those benefits, possibly ENT as additional funding for our students. Connectivity is a big one, but once those get solved, to be able to kind of holistically help the whole student, these are things you've been kind of plugging away at for over maybe a year and a half or more.
Well said. And just to put a couple of numbers to it, I want you to imagine 325,000 working age adults in Louisiana that are unemployed. They are drawing $847 every week. The 600 of that $847 goes away on July 15th.
Right.
July 15th. So today we are about 1 month away from Louisiana losing, you do the math, 325,000 times 600 every week. At that point, an individual goes from roughly $45,000 a year in income through unemployment to a lot less. What happens when that individual steps off that cliff? There are implications for everything from nutrition to employment to social services. It has broad, sweeping implications. And we have to, as a state, find a sense of urgency about training and educating these folks. That is much of what we have spent our time working on over the last few months. And it's this kind of effort of identifying the challenges and the barriers and coming up with innovative solutions that will allow us to be able to address that challenge. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for bringing that point forward. So with that, Mr. Acting Chairman, I'll turn it back to you from the President's report, and we can move forward with the general action items.
All righty. Thank you, sir. Appreciate that. It's pretty interesting looking at this board. I mean, this is, for us country folks, this is kind of high tech. I'd say the Supervisor Jackson looks like he's a storm chaser, for crying out loud. I mean, he's coming in loud and clear.
I'm trying to get home. I'm trying to get home from Florida, and I just stepped off the tennis court. So please forgive me for my appearance. But
all right,
I'm here.
Good deal. I'd like to now to present the general action items to report the committee of the whole action items for consideration by the board. This was the ratification of actions taken at the May 6, 2020 Executive Committee meeting. Now I'll just read these out. The first one was approval of the meeting minutes from January 31st, 2018, LCTCS Board of Supervisors Executive Committee meeting. Second item was board resolution regarding learning engagement strategies during the COVID-19 response and onward. The third item was the disposal of the former Baton Rouge Community College Westside Campus in Plaquemine. And the fourth one was the appointment of the Chancellor for Baton Rouge Community College.
So, Mr. Chairman, I will read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board ratify the actions taken during the May 6, 2020 Executive Committee meeting as presented.
You've heard the recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
This is Willie. I move to approve.
A motion by Ms. Mount and a second by Mr. Jackson.
Any discussion?
I think
Mayor, do a roll call,
Call vote. Supervisor Toops. Supervisor Price.
please. Yes.
Supervisor Mount.
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford.
Yes.
Supervisor Carter. Ms. Helen, if you could come off of mute or go on screen and shake your head.
Toops is a yes.
Thank you, Mr. Toops. Supervisor Roman Hardy.
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy. Yes, thank you, Mr. Hardy. Supervisor Jackson is a yes because he made that motion. Supervisor Murphy.
Yes.
Supervisor Smith.
Yes.
Supervisor Spears. May have stepped away for a second. Supervisor Spawn.
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The motion passes.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Acting Chairman, if I may, included in that item, that list of items is the appointment of the Chancellor of Baton Rouge Community College. And given the fact that that action was taken as a part of an executive committee meeting, and we did not have an opportunity to hear from our newly appointed Chancellor in Dr. Willie Smith, I'd like to ask Dr. Smith if he wants to make a few comments to the board.
He's not a loss for words, is he?
We don't have. Mr. Smith is not doing it.
So I'm realizing now that he is joining as a viewer, but not as a participant. So we'll give Willie an opportunity to speak to the board at the next meeting or next opportunity. So thank you, and I know on behalf of Dr. Smith, he has shared with me his excitement for this appointment and opportunity to lead Baton Rouge Community College, and I know he'll do a great job. So with that, Mr. Acting Chairman, I'll turn it back to you.
Thanks, sir. Supervisor Smith will now present the academic and student affairs action item for consideration by the board.
Yes, sir. So the first item is a revision to LCTCS policy 2.005. And I believe we have Dr. Blair available to present this information. Is that correct? Dr. Blair, are you with us?
Let's see,
She's
maybe.
on. It may be just a few second delay, but she is on.
Good morning, I'm here. It just took me a few minutes to rejoin. Okay, there we are. It's so good to see all of you. Welcome to this new environment. Item H2 involves the combination, replacement, clarification, and correction of 3 existing LCTCS policies. 2.005, student organizations and SGA. 2.006, participation in the Council of Student Body Presidents. And 2.010, LCTCS, student government associations. After staff review of these 3 existing policies, inconsistencies and conflicting information became apparent. Revisions to this policy 2.05 seek to combine 3 student organization policies into one clear and accurate policy. I'll read the recommendation. Staff recommends that the board approve the revisions to LCTCS policy 2.005, student organizations and SGA as replacement for LCTCS policy 2.010, student government associations, and LCTCS policy 2.006, participation in the Council of Student Body Presidents, or COPS, for Louisiana Community and Technical College student body presidents.
Okay, board members, we've heard the recommendations. Does anyone have any questions of Dr. Blair before we entertain a motion? If there are no questions, then we certainly need a motion to adopt the recommendation as presented.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Spawn, and
Second.
second by Ms. Mount. And we'll do a roll call vote.
You won't let me.
Supervisor Toops,
Yes.
Supervisor Price,
Yes.
Supervisor Mount,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Yes.
Supervisor Carter,
Yes.
Supervisor Roman Hardy,
Yes.
sorry about that. Supervisor Tim Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Chip Jackson,
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy, you can just shake your head, Mr. Murphy.
Yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Spears,
Yes.
Supervisor Spawn.
Yes.
Great, thank you. The motion is passed.
Thank you.
And those are all of my agenda items, Mr. Chairman.
All right, you got off light today. Thank you very much. Supervisor
Acting
Jackson.
Chairman, if I may, I think Dr. Smith is now on the line and has joined us. And so if you're okay, we'll circle back and ask Dr. Smith if he'd like to make a few comments.
Absolutely. I bet he does. You need to unmute.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you now.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Sullivan. I appreciate this board for allowing me to come on this morning just to tell you how appreciative that I am of each of you for supporting me and being the new chancellor, permanent chancellor at Baton Rouge Community College. Many of you I have had the opportunity to work with for years and witness the work that you have done to make Louisiana a great state to live in. That's to our mission of community college. So certainly want to say I appreciate all of your support of me. Look forward to leading BRCC and supporting the faculty and staff and students here on making sure that we are a great place to work and learn. But also I'm most instrumental in making sure that I fulfill the shoes of you guys, making sure the right thing to support Louisiana and our citizens with a valuable education and training that we're going to provide. So I look forward in my new role here, look forward to working with each of you, extend a heartfelt welcome to all of you, and certainly to my SGA president to be on the board. I look forward to continuing to work with her and supporting her and her colleagues, but certainly want to say thank you to all of you for this opportunity to lead BRCC during this time. We have some challenges ahead that Dr. Sullivan has alluded to in reference to COVID and many other things in reference to the budget, but I'm confident in my experience and skill that I would do a great job for each of you on supporting our mission.
Absolutely. Dr. Smith, we're just glad to have you on board, and we know that you're going to do an outstanding job. We really do.
Thank you, Supervisor Price. And certainly, if I can help any of you, anything that you need from me, feel free to reach out to me. We have some things already underway. I would say, Dr. Sullivan, that our summer enrollment was up this summer, some things that we did as well. So I'm proud of some things we have already put in place and more great things to come from BRCC.
Very good.
Dr. Smith, this is Stevie Toops. I want to tell you, I'm not only so proud to call you a friend, but to see you in that role. When you got there, a lot of people didn't know who you were and knew the challenges were ahead of you. And it's amazing to see how you've turned that entire community around. Everyone's aligned with you. They're pulling for you. It is going to be so exciting to watch. There's some challenges ahead of us, but hey, you know what? This is just a glimmer. These are just speed bumps on the way to success for you, my friend. I'm really excited and proud for you to take that role.
Thank you, Supervisor Toop. And, I've been in this system has been good to me. I've been in this system for almost 20 years now. I started out under Mickey Murphy. I know he's on the board there, but certainly I learned some good things and some bad things from Mickey, but certainly I'm appreciate this opportunity and look forward to doing the best that I can to support this board agenda.
Maybe you better defend yourself on that one.
Wait, hold on, Mr. Murphy, you're on mute. Give me a second.
Unmute.
There you go.
Mickey, hit the unmute button.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
We got you. Well, it may be a blessing that you couldn't hear what I was thinking after I heard those comments. Okay, thanks.
All right.
Mr. Acting Chairman, maybe one final detour here back if we can. We have had Shanko Williams has joined us and certainly want to give him an opportunity as an outgoing student board member to address the board as well. And Shanko, you've been just a tremendous asset to this board, and watching you embrace the mission and tell the story in Central Louisiana has been a lot of fun. So let's turn it over and ask Shanko if you'd like to make a few comments.
Certainly. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir.
All righty, great. I'd just like to start out with thanking everyone for just taking me in and showing me a level of excellency that, I thought that I was leaving behind in the military, but you guys have not only met that expectation, but you also exceeded it in many aspects. Just a lot of forward thinking, a lot of synergy that takes place immediately, and not to mention just the level of professionalism that I witnessed firsthand. And Dr. Sullivan, you have been an awesome mentor to me, and I just appreciate just your steadfastness on every turn. And I mean, I've seen you, go through some adversity, and I've seen you go through some good times, and slow and steady is always a good example for me. So I kind of shared that with the oncoming board members and let them know that you're there for them in any way that you could possibly help. But I just appreciate everything. Everyone has been just phenomenal. And I just want to be able to keep in touch with you guys, if nothing else, just to say hi from time to time. But thank you for the support. And I look forward to working with you guys in the future on any way that I possibly can. So I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to learn and just be considered a peer.
Thank you, sir. We're very glad to have you. Wish you the
All
very
righty.
best.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I guess we will move on. Supervisor Jackson presents the facilities action items for consideration by the board, but he can't take his hands off the wheel.
Well, thank goodness I'm not driving, but
okay, you're right. Okay.
If Joe wants to go forward and carry the ball on that, I'm perfectly fine with that. Joe?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody. We have before us today 7 facilities action items, and I apologize to Supervisor Jackson. You're carrying the heaviest load of all the committees today. But the first item we have before you is the preliminary recommendation of capital outlay request for fiscal year 21-22. This is something we do every year as a matter of function. We bring before the board a preliminary list of recommended capital outlay projects, to which later on in a month or two, excuse me, the next meeting or so, we will present for adoption. So this is just for receipt, basically for advisement and nothing else. As a case in point, while we have a few new projects on the list, one that is a recurring project is related to roofing and waterproofing. As many of you know, while we have many new facilities, we also have many old facilities. And I want to thank the Board of Regents and Facility Planning and Control for their involvement. We have been making progress through the years on re-roofing facilities. 2 that come to mind are the Baton Rouge Community College Akkadian campus, and the other one is Natchitoches, where we've spent almost $1 million. The state has put $1 million into each project to re-roof those projects. So as such, staff recommends the board accept for review and advisement the 2021-2022 capital outlay preliminary list of recommended projects. And again, no action is necessary. The next item we have before us is a cooperative endeavor agreement, the transfer of the Seawalla Technical Community College Jennings campus to the city of Jennings. And in essence, we're bringing before the board for action a cooperative endeavor agreement to transfer the old Jennings campus of Sewella. As some of you may recall, in 2016, through capital outlay, a new campus was built for the college in Jennings, which no longer necessitated them having to have the old campus. So in essence, the college is wishing to enter into a CEA with the city of Jennings so that the high school, local high school, can use the facility, but also as part of the cooperative endeavor agreement to make the facility available to Sewella should there ever be a need in the future for the college to use the old campus for instruction and training. If there are no questions, staff recommends the board authorize the president and the chancellor of Sewella Technical Community College to complete all of the requirements necessary to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement to transfer the former Jennings campus to the city of Jennings. Conveyance documents for the transfer must be filed with the local clerk of courts and the state land office.
Prior to anyone making a motion, I think that Chairman Price is going to ask if there is anyone that does not agree that we could go through all of the facility items and make a recommendation to approve all of them at once in globo once all the items were reviewed. Is there anyone who disagrees with us doing that? That way we would have one roll call vote instead of 6 for this committee.
I'm fine with that.
Yes.
Okay. So Joe, if you want to continue to go through those items, we'll now be on item H-5.
Yes, item H5 and H5, H6, and H7 are all similar in function. These actions relate to the transfer of Act 360 project funds that are remaining as these projects close out. As some of you may recall, there currently is and has been language in the appropriations bill in Schedule 2930, which is the appropriation for bond defeasements, where it provides that colleges the board may transfer any funds that remain at the end of an Act 360 project from one campus to another Act 360 project, as long as it's within the college. So it cannot transfer between colleges, but it has to stay within the benefit of the college. And as such, again, we have 3 items related to that. The first one relates to the transfer of funds from Baton Rouge Community College's Act 360 Automotive Collision Training Center project to the Akkadian campus renovation project. Again, those are both Act 360 projects, but we are transferring remaining funds from the automotive project to the Akkadian campus project. As such, staff recommends that the board authorize the transfer of $20,000 in Act 360 funds from the Baton Rouge Community College Auto Collision Training Center project to the Akkadian campus renovation project, as authorized by language in the appropriations bill for the current fiscal year. The Joint Legislative Committee on the Budget must be informed of the transfer of funds between projects prior to the final reallocation. The next item relates to the transfer of funds from Louisiana Delta Community College's Act 360 Tallulah campus project to the Ruston campus project. Again, that project in Tallulah has basically closed out. There are roughly about $194,000 in funds remaining at that project that the chancellor feels could be best utilized at the new campus in Ruston for their use. And as such, staff recommends the board authorize the transfer I'm sorry, I said 194,000.
You still want, Joe?
Correct. I'm sorry, but I'll continue. I'm sorry, I'll go back to the next one above it. The staff recommends that the board authorize the transfer of $194,149.89 in Act 360 funds from the Louisiana Delta Community College Tallulah campus project in Monroe to the Ruston campus project as authorized by language in the appropriations bill for the current fiscal year. The Joint Legislative Committee on the Budget must be informed of the transfer of funds between projects prior to the final reallocation. I apologize. Lastly, there is funds available at the Monroe campus and from the Advanced Technology Center that, again, they wish to transfer over to the Ruston campus project. As such, staff recommends that the board authorize the transfer of $471,000 in Act 360 funds from the Louisiana Delta Community College Advanced Technology Center project in Monroe to the Ruston campus project as authorized by language in the appropriations bill for the current fiscal year. The Joint Legislative Committee on the Budget must be informed of the transfer of funds between projects prior to the final reallocation.
Okay.
The next item relates to a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Young Women's Christian Association and Central Louisiana Technical Community College. Chancellor Sawtelle brought this item to us for action, basically in essence wishing to enter into a cooperative endeavor agreement with the YMCA. They are located approximately right across the street from the new campus, and the YMCA has offered their facilities for use by students who are attending CLTCC in return. The college is wishing to purchase and provide some, televisions and maybe some audio equipment so that students, when they attend the YMCA, they can have some recreation while they're there. Given that, again, the students benefit, the college benefits, the cooperative endeavor spells that out. So again, the staff recommends that the board authorize the president and the chancellor of Central Louisiana Technical Community College, CLTCC, to negotiate and complete all of the requirements necessary to execute a cooperative endeavor agreement between the college and the Young Women's Christian Association, YWCA, located at 1831 Turner Street, Alexandria. And lastly, we have a campus realignment between SLCC and Fletcher. As some of you may recall, the Lampe campus was at one time under South Central Louisiana Technical College. And at that point in time, when it no longer existed, campuses were transferred among the various colleges, some to Fletcher, some went to SLCC. At that point in time, the Lampe campus was aligned to SLCC and has been there since that occurred, I guess 2 or 3 years ago. With that said, there has been movement to expand that campus by the state, to expand that facility structure and that environment, which again is being done through Fletcher Technical Community College. And as such, there's a desire to realign that campus from SLCC to Fletcher Technical Community College. As such, staff recommends that the board approve the SLCC Houma facility, former known as the Lampe campus realignment, as requested by the leadership of South Louisiana Community College and Fletcher Technical Community College, and authorize the system president and appropriate leadership members to implement the realignment plan as of July 1, 2020. And this concludes all items under the facilities section.
Thank you, Joe. Thank you. That's a handful. We've heard the recommendations on items, I believe, 4 through 9.
Yes, sir. Is there a motion to approve the recommendations heard from items 4 through 9? And we're not including item 3 since it was for review and advisement only.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Helen.
Second.
Second by Ms. Bradford. And we'll do a roll call vote to approve all of those motions. Supervisor Toops,
Yes, ma'am, I approve.
Supervisor Price,
Yes.
Supervisor Mount,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Yes.
Supervisor Carter,
Yes.
Supervisor Roman Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Chip Jackson,
Yes.
Supervisor Mickey Murphy,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Spears,
Yes.
Supervisor Spawn,
Yes.
and that motion has been approved.
All right. Okay, I believe that concludes everything that Supervisor Jackson needed to cover. Supervisor Bradford will now present the finance action item.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and board members. I will ask that Joe continue and present the finance report or the finance actions that are needed for this board.
Yes, ma'am. Continuing on.
We will, Joe, we will try to do these in Globo as well. Everybody is okay with that? Okay. Continue on.
Yes, sir. The first item we have is a Board of Regents matched endowment professorships. So just to provide some background information for new members, the Board of Regents has a fund available to it from a settlement that occurred back in the late 1980s, doing dealing with offshore oil royalties. Some of those funds were deposited in the Treasury and provide interest earnings for the Board of Regents to be used to match those funds with private donations for professorships, and in some cases, some department chairs. There are guidelines in terms of the amounts that must be matched. And as such, before those items are sent to the Board of Regents for consideration, they must be acted on by our board, again, before going forward. And we have one such item before you today dealing with Fletcher Technical Community College. The foundation at Fletcher has provided a $120,000 private match, to which the Board of Regents will have to match $80,000 to provide a $200,000 total fund investment for a cardiopulmonary care science endowed professorship. So with that said, I'll read the recommendation. That staff recommends that the board approve the cardiopulmonary care science endowed professorship at Fletcher Technical Community College. The next item deals with a professional services contract between Bruce Dean and Manassas PLLC and Louisiana Community and Technical College System. As many of you are aware, the board office since its inception and has managed the federal Perkins Fund on behalf of the federal government. It's roughly a fund that's about $23 to $24 million we handle. In 2010, we also then received from the Department of Education roughly $14 million in program funds that we manage for adult basic education, also referred to as Work Ready U. So given that those funds total in excess $35 million, it requires specialized legal advice and expertise. And as such, the firm that Bruce Dean and Manassas provides that information and that guidance. And we have had them as a advisor for these programs for some time now. As such, staff recommends that the board approve a professional legal services contract between LCTCS Board of Supervisors and Bruce Dean and Manassas PLLC effective July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2023, pending final approval by the state offices of the Attorney General, Risk Management, and State Procurement. The next item we have before us is a professional services contract between Lighthouse for the Blind in New Orleans and Delgado Community College. This item and the following item are two contracts that Delgado has brought before the board for action roughly about this time of the year, every year, to provide interpretive services for students. I believe this is for the hearing impaired students. This contract is a fee for roughly $200,000, again, to make available to students those services when they show up to campus. As such, staff recommends the board approve a social services contract between Delgado Community College and Lighthouse for the Blind in New Orleans Incorporated, effective July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. This contract is subject to the approval of the Office of State Procurement. The next item, as I mentioned, also relates to the same function. One might ask, why are there two contracts? In essence, this provides some duplication and some redundancy. In the event that one vendor is not available to provide services, there's another vendor available that can be called upon, and vice versa. As such, staff recommends the board approve a social services contract between Delgado Community College and the CART Provider, LLC, effective July 1, 2020 through June 30th, 2021. This contract is subject to the approval of the Office of State Procurement. The next item deals with the elimination of the non-resident fee. Just to provide some history, the non-resident fee obviously has been around for many years, but during the 90s, when there was a growth in the amount of state funding provided to colleges and universities, the legislature had an interest in finding out exactly what were students paying, what were resident students paying, or more importantly, what were non-resident students paying for attending our colleges and universities, given that the state was providing funds.
Your conference is already in progress. for 11 hours, 11 minutes. Press pound or star to continue the conference. Otherwise, your conference will end in 1 hour, 15 minutes.
I have no idea what that is, you guys, and I apologize greatly.
Well, hopefully we won't be here in an hour and 15 minutes.
And you let me
Y'all
know.
you better up your game, Supervisor Price.
So let me continue then. So during that time, there were acts that were passed by the legislature, basically, first off, encouraging colleges and universities to increase their non-resident fee to the Southern Regional Education Board average. And particularly during the GRAD Act bill, it specifically mandated that all colleges and universities implement a plan to reach the SREB, which we did. Back in 2010, the board took action on a 6-year plan to implement and raise non-resident fees for all our colleges to the SREB. With that said, since then, the Broadwater bill passed in 2014 or 15 provided flexibility to the boards to adjust their fees, whether that be increasing them or decreasing them. And to provide some perspective, non-residents basically comprise less than 3% of our student population. And as such, there has been some concerns expressed by our chancellors, particularly those on the border areas of our states, that we have, in essence, we're hurting ourselves by providing such a price point for non-resident students. And to give you some context, roughly for a resident student, it costs about $4,100 a year to attend our colleges. For a non-resident student, it's a little over $8,000 a year. And given that the population is a very fluid population that doesn't necessarily stand by state borders. We have students coming over from Mississippi all the time. And again, they don't, for the most part, because again, of the price point being so cost prohibitive. So what this item is being brought before you is to recognize that given the fluidity of our society, given that we have regional workforce economies in the state, and there's a need for training that has to occur throughout the state, that we should, in essence, do away and eliminate the non-resident fee and provide just the resident fee across both residents and non-residents, recognizing that students who come to our communities and our environments aren't coming here necessarily for because of coming to our colleges because of the let's say sports that is drawn here. They're coming here, they're working in our communities, they're providing and paying taxes to our local communities. So why shouldn't we, in essence, provide them the benefit as local people, the same benefit that residents have? So again, in essence, we're bringing before the board the elimination of this fee. So are there any questions? I'll be happy to answer that any may have. Hearing none, staff recommends that the board eliminate the assessment of the non-resident fee by LCTCS colleges effective with the fall 2020 academic semester. The next item we have before you, it relates to the suspension of an online registration fee. To provide some history on this fee, this is a $40 fee that we currently assess all students when they register for an online course. The fee was approved by the board going back in 2011 at its August meeting. At that time when it was done, we were, as a system, just starting to engage in online delivery, and we were unsure about the costs that may be involved with doing so. But now that we are, in essence, 9 years have passed, we have some track records of how we've built up and operated and made more efficient online delivery through our online environment. We wish to bring before the board a recommendation to temporarily, not to necessarily to eliminate, but to temporarily suspend the fee. Also recognizing that with COVID-19 being such an unknown environment, that we will more than likely be migrating more and more to online delivery. And as such, if that's the main venue for providing education and instruction, that we shouldn't penalize students for that. So again, staff recommends that the board temporarily suspend the assessment of the online registration fee by LCTCS colleges in the fall 2020 semester through the spring 2022 semester. And I believe that concludes all items under the finance section.
So Supervisor Bradford, I think we have a motion on the floor or can we get approval of a motion to approve the recommendations for items 10 through 15 as presented to the board?
So moved. A second.
Motion by Ms. Bradford, second by Ms. Carter. And we'll do a roll call vote for that. Supervisor Toops,
Yes, I approve.
Supervisor Price. He's on mute still. Mr. Price, shake your head. He's got some interference going on. Supervisor Mount.
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford.
Yes.
Supervisor Carter.
Yes.
Supervisor Roman Hardy. Yes, thank you. Supervisor Tim Hardy.
Yes.
Mr. Hardy, you want to shake your head or say yes?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. Supervisor Jackson.
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy.
Yes.
Supervisor Smith.
Yes.
Supervisor Spears has us on mute. Supervisor Spahn.
Yes.
Thank you. We do have a passing of that motion.
Okay, I believe that's all the items for that. Thank you, Supervisor Bradford. Personnel, Supervisor Tim Hardy will present the personnel action items for consideration by the board.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First item, personnel for review and advisement, revisions to LCTCS policy 6.003, leave policy for unclassified non-civil service employees.
Correct. And Supervisor Hardy, we'll be moving this item per previous board action just earlier today for action, both this one and item 17. But just to provide some background, this policy is the leave policy for unclassified employees. Specifically, it addresses three issues. One is that faculty with full-time 9 and 10-month contracts that accept a summer adjunct position shall be allowed to earn sick leave for the summer contract. Currently, some do and some don't, depending on the college. So in essence, this provides uniformity across all colleges that adjuncts shall be allowed to earn sick leave during their adjunct tenure during the summer months. Secondly, it provides clarification to sick leave as to when it can be used. There is some confusion sometimes in our office, HR offices, as to when a person may take sick leave. And Senator Jackson, has proposed a bill that I believe has passed and gone through the legislative session, the regular session, and is currently up for signing by the governor. That will provide that a person can use sick leave for the care of family members. So it doesn't have to be necessarily personal sick leave for themselves, but it can be for the care of family members. And lastly, the policy allows and provides for the use or the creation at the colleges for the use of crisis leave or shared leave. As many of you probably who have worked on college or university environments recognize that some of them have policies in place where some employees, because of their tenure and length of service at the college or the university, have built up large sums of leave. Obviously, when they leave or retire for whatever reason, their leave either gets counted towards their retirement, but more importantly, there's a leave payout. So colleges and universities have to, on their financial records, account for that leave balance as an asset year to year to year. What this provides, though, is that some of that leave can be pulled for those who wish to donate it for a crisis leave to be used for junior faculty and staff members who may not have leave balances to deal with especially critical care needs issues, whether it's be long-term issues or otherwise. So again, it provides for that. there are no questions, staff recommends that the board adopt the revised leave policy for unclassified employees, number 6.003, and that the system president be authorized to make necessary changes that may be necessitated by the passage of legislation currently in progress. Item 17.
Joe, I think we need to take these individually since we can't do all the personnel actions.
I'm sorry.
So we can have a motion for item 16.
Your motion?
So moved.
So moved.
Second by Ms. Jackson, second by Ms. Bradford. We'll do a roll call vote for that. I understand there may be some interference going on with the microphone, and we are trying to figure that out for you guys. So we'll do a roll call vote for item 16. Supervisor Toots,
Yes, I approve.
Supervisor Price,
Yes.
Supervisor Mount,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Yes.
Supervisor Carter,
Yes.
Supervisor Roman Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Jackson,
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Spears,
Yes.
Supervisor Spahn.
Yes.
And item 16 has passed.
Okay, next item for action, LCTCS policy number 6.042, social media use.
Yes, sir. Can everybody hear me? I wanted to ask.
Is this a little bit better of sound for Joe?
Worse on my end.
Okay, I'll try to speak louder. The next item is, again, for adoption of policy 6.042, social media use. The HR officers of all our colleges and here in our office, Gina, as you said, have been working on this policy for some time and came to a final product back in February. Obviously, with COVID-19, most all of that activity kind of ceased, was put on the back burner while we dealt with other urgent issues at hand. But now that we are somewhat past the emergency of COVID-19, we're still dealing with it. We are bringing this policy to you for action, particularly given, again, recent events that have occurred and transpired throughout our state and our nation. In essence, this policy provides commonality across all our colleges. It's a new policy, one that we have not had in the past. So in essence, the HR folks had worked on this policy before, again, to provide some commonality among all our colleges. Really. Sorry, members, I'm being told I should move. Where's you?
Right.
I apologize if y'all didn't hear what was said, but in essence, this policy is a new policy that is being provided to provide commonality across all our colleges on the use of social media on two fronts. One has to do with, obviously, with setting up guidelines and structures for the use of LCTCS college logos, emblems, any kind of copyrighted materials, anything that represents us as a system of colleges throughout the state, and provides that there should be designated individuals at each of our colleges who should be in charge of monitoring and using social media on behalf of the colleges and the system. Secondly, it provides some guidance as it relates to personal use of people's social media accounts. Some of that deals with representing yourself as a person for the college or the LCTCS system. It provides guidance in terms of making sure that no personal or other LCTCS information is disclosed through social media. And again, just provides some broad parameters to all our colleges for them to develop their own social media policies going forward. Staff recommends that the board adopt and approve LCTCS policy number 6.042,
social media use.
So you all have heard the recommendation. Is there a motion for social media use policy?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Spahn, second by Ms. Mount. And we'll do a roll call vote for that. Supervisor Toops,
Yes, I approve. Yes.
Supervisor Price, shaking his head yes.
Yes.
He's having trouble hearing. Supervisor Mount,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Yes.
Supervisor Carter,
Yes.
Supervisor Roman Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Jackson,
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Spears,
Yes.
Supervisor Spahn. Is Mr. Spahn there?
Yeah, that is. Yes, sir.
Okay, he says yes also. That motion has been approved.
Okay, thank you. Next item. This time I'd like to request a motion to enter into executive session to discuss item H.18, appointment of interim chancellor for South Louisiana Community College. At this time, Ms. Klein-Peter, I would ask that there be a motion, a second, and then you take a roll call vote.
Yes, sir. Is there a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Bradford,
Second.
second by Mr. Jackson. And this is a vote whether to enter into executive session or not, the yes or no vote. Supervisor Smith. I'm sorry, Supervisor Toots.
Yes, that's fine with me.
Supervisor Price,
Yes.
Supervisor Mount,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Yes.
Supervisor Carter,
Yes.
Supervisor Hardy, Roman,
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Jackson,
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Spears,
Yes.
Supervisor Spahn.
Yes.
We will enter into executive session at 11:48 a.m. Board members, please reference the email that I sent yesterday with the dial-in information for this executive session.
Sarah?
I think that was Miss Helen trying to get you.
Yes, ma'am. Ms. Helen, I'll call you in just 1 second.
I'm not getting, my thing is no camera.
Katie, could you please put us on mute? Members of the board, if you would please either exit the Zoom meeting or put it on mute and use the dial-in information that was sent in the email for executive session.
I'm back.
Murphy's back.
Willie's back.
Tim Hortons back.
And Roman Hardy's here as well.
Everybody back. I'm wondering if we need to go to the backup Zoom link. Is anybody coming back to? There we are.
Hey, everyone, we're gonna slowly try and get, ooh, I have feedback. We're gonna try and get everyone back in on this original Zoom link. What we discovered was that notice that came on telling us that the time limit was a certain time.
Backup Zoom link. Is everybody coming back to? It's open.
Katie, can you mute your YouTube?
Yes, I was just making sure that we didn't hear what we weren't supposed to be hearing.
Hey, Miss Helen. We're gonna give everyone a few more folks to time to join back in. I'm gonna do an internal roll call quietly and make sure we have everyone here. But it looks like we're missing still quite a few people. Miss Carter is gonna be joining in just a second. D.B. Smith, I believe that you
We
are.
need to go ahead and cook that mac and cheese and then peas.
I'm here, Sarah.
Fantastic. Katie, can you move Miss Helen?
There she is at the bottom.
Perfect. Oops, are you with us yet?
Heck yeah, I was the first one here.
Oh, now I see you. I'm sorry. Alan's here. Bradford's here.
I'm here.
Thank you, Miss Helen. Tari Bradford, are you here yet? Roman's there. Tim's here. Chip is still driving from Florida. Mark is here and Craig's on. So I think we're still waiting on Tari Bradford is the only one that's not here yet. And let me get her on. Let me call her real quick. Oh, she's on now. So Mr. Chairman, it is 12:39 and we are exiting executive session at 12:39 p.m. And I'm going to call a roll call to get us back into a quorum.
Please.
Supervisor Toops is present. Supervisor Price.
Here.
Present. Supervisor Mount.
Present.
Supervisor Bradford is present.
Here.
Supervisor Carter is present. Supervisor Roman Hardy is present. Supervisor Tim Hardy is present. Supervisor Jackson is present. Supervisor Murphy is present. Supervisor Smith is present by phone. Supervisor Spears is present. Supervisor Spahn is present. And we do have our student board member-elect, Supervisor Mitchell and Supervisor Turner, who are on the Zoom as well. Mr. Price, the floor is yours.
Mr. Chair, you just tell me when.
Mr. Price, if you could make that announcement that we've reconvened.
Is he here?
Mr. Price?
There he is.
There we are.
Yes, sir.
Here I am. Something happened.
Mr. Price, if you could make that statement that we're resuming the meeting.
Okay, I'll be glad to. Like to reconvene the meeting, and no votes were taken and no consensus was reached during the executive session.
Thank you, sir.
That's all.
That was that internet connection out in Metropolis, Louisiana.
It's
Southern
two
Franklin Parish, right?
10 cans in a string right now.
Okay, with that, I will move to the next item. Appointment of interim chancellor for South Louisiana Community College.
Sir, Supervisor Hardy, I'll take that one. As you're aware, this over the last 3 weeks or so, we had the need to appoint an interim leader at South Louisiana Community College. And so that action was taken as per policy. And we are in a position now where we would like to ask the board to ratify that appointment. And the recommendation reads, staff recommends the board appoint Dr. Vincent June as the interim chancellor of South Louisiana Community College with an employment contract effective May 30, 2020 through November 29, 2020, with a compensation package consisting of an annual base salary of $172,519, a housing allowance of $20,000, a vehicle allowance of $5,000, or the use of a college vehicle, and a civic organization's allowance of $2,500.
We've heard the recommendation. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Spahn, second by Mr. Jackson. We'll have a roll call vote for that. Approval of this item. Supervisor Toops,
Yes, I approve.
Supervisor Price,
Yes.
Supervisor Mount,
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford,
Yes.
Supervisor Carter. Ms. Helen shook her head in affirmative. Supervisor Roman Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy,
Yes.
Supervisor Jackson,
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy,
Yes.
Supervisor Smith,
Yes.
Supervisor Spears,
Yes.
Supervisor Spahn.
Yes.
That motion has been approved.
Very good. And we have with us Dr. Vincent June, who's joined today's meeting. And maybe I'll turn it over to Dr. June and ask him to make a few comments. Welcome and congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Monty Sullivan and the Board of Supervisors for first giving me this opportunity to lead SLCC in the interim capacity. Secondly, I'd also like to thank the SLCC faculty and staff, and we've had quite a few external constituents, with their excitement and support during this leadership transition as well. So what I really would like to share with the board that as we experience, our leadership change here at SLCC, as well as our ongoing challenges with the COVID pandemic. And as I've already spoken with Dr. Sullivan about, my commitment and my priority basically is to maintain the outstanding work that the college has already done, and also maintaining its core mission. And obviously that's to serve students and to serve our communities within the Akkadian region. So I'm very humbled for this opportunity to lead SLCC during this interim term. I'm very excited about the work that's already happening. We're trending up with enrollment for fall. We've exceeded our summer enrollment compared to last summer by 5.74%. And so even with the COVID pandemic and our retooling of business processes and making some adjustments like everyone else in the system, we're very pleased with the continued work that the college is doing. I have a number of meetings set up next week with a lot of our stakeholders, community partners and foundation board members, and they're excited to maintain the great work that's been done by the college as well. So I want to thank you for entrusting me with this opportunity, and I humbly accept this challenge, so thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Congratulations.
Mr. Chair, as a point of order, before we go on to the consent agenda, I would like to ask everyone if they could go back to the beginning of the agenda. We accidentally left off the approval of the minutes from February, and so that is item E. And the recommendation reads, we'd like to request a motion to approve the February 12th, 2020 meeting minutes as presented. If I could get a motion for approval of those minutes.
So moved.
So moved. This is Willie.
Thank you, Ms. Mount and Ms. Bradford. And we'll do a roll call vote for that really quickly. Supervisor Toops.
I approve.
Supervisor Price.
Yes, ma'am.
Supervisor Mount.
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford.
Yes.
Supervisor Carter.
Yes.
Supervisor Hardy.
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy.
Yes.
Supervisor Jackson. Has us on mute and is driving.
Yes.
Fantastic. Supervisor Murphy.
Yes.
Supervisor Smith.
Yes.
Supervisor Spears.
Yes.
Supervisor Spahn.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion has been approved.
Okay. So it looks like it's my turn to present the consent agenda. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think the staff would recommend that the board approve the consent agenda, which consists of agenda items I-1 through I-7. I know everyone has read those. Entertain a motion.
Motion by Ms. Carter.
Second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Spahn. We'll do a roll call vote for that. Supervisor Toops.
Yes.
Supervisor Price.
Yes.
Supervisor Mount.
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford.
Yes.
Supervisor Carter.
Yes.
Speakerhead, yes. Supervisor Roman Hardy.
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy.
Yes.
Supervisor Chip Jackson.
Yes.
Supervisor Mickey Murphy.
Yes.
Supervisor Smith.
Yes.
Supervisor Spears.
Yes.
Supervisor Spahn. And the consent
Yes.
agenda has been approved.
Okay, I would like to reference updates and encourage all the board members to review the information provided. You see them listed on this item, under item J. I won't read through them. You're welcome. Chair, I would like to ask if there's any additional business to come before the board.
Yes, sir. We'll ask Mr. Price, ask Mr. Smith to give a report of the nominating committee.
Yes. Supervisor Smith, would you do that for us, please?
There you go. I have to unmute it. Our nominating committee has met to consider a new slate of officers for the upcoming year. To be honest with you, Paul, we were waiting to see how you handled this meeting to see if we'd make this recommendation, but I think you passed.
I'm surprised. I mean, yes. Surprised. Shocked.
You know, you're gonna have to do this in front of people next time we get together, probably. It's gonna be
That's
like
gonna be
live action. So the nominating committee recommends that Paul Price serve as chair, Willie Mount as first vice chair, and Chip Jackson as second vice chair, effective July 1st, 2020, for 2-year term of office ending June 30th, 2022. And I'll provide that to this board as a recommendation.
We get a motion from members other than those listed on the slate.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Bradford and a second by Ms. Carter. And we'll do a roll call vote for this one. And I dare to mention this would be our last roll call vote, folks.
Don't get ahead of yourself.
I don't want to speak too soon. Supervisor Toops.
I do approve, and I do want to congratulate everybody on the slate.
Supervisor Price.
Yeah, yes.
Supervisor Matt.
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford.
Yes.
Supervisor Carter.
Yes, and Paul, I think you did a great job.
Thank you.
Supervisor Hardy, Roman Hardy.
Yes.
Supervisor Tim Hardy.
Yes, and when we're finished, I'd like to make a brief statement.
Yes, sir. Supervisor Jackson.
Yes.
Supervisor Murphy.
Yes.
He said yes. Supervisor Smith.
Yes.
Supervisor Spears.
Yes.
Supervisor Spawn.
Yes.
And that motion has been approved.
Supervisor Hardy, did you need to say something?
Yes, and I'll be brief. I know it's lunchtime, so we're about ready to go, but I just want to take this opportunity to, first of all, thank immediate past Chair Toops for having done a great job. I mean, he has a real full-time job, but the effort he put into this, I just want to give him a personal thank you.
Absolutely.
I know what this takes. I've done it. I've gotten tremendous support from Supervisor Murphy, Supervisor Smith, and we don't have Vinny here, but he was always outstanding. They were great role models. But let me just say this. I'm excited about Chair Price. Chair Price, you have been a steady and a strong hand throughout all the time I've been on this board. During my chairmanship, there were some major challenges that we had to endure. You were always there. I could always lean on you. You would always prop me up. I just want to give you a personal thank you for what you did, and to give you my word that I will do all that I can, and I know the rest of these board members will as well. So I'm just excited about going forward, and I just wanted to take an opportunity to say that.
Thank you, sir. That was very kind words. I'm humbled by those. I'll do the best I can. I appreciate your confidence in me, and we'll see what happens.
And Mr. Price, I have to jump in here too and tell you thank you for taking this call on short notice. To everybody who was there at the board meeting, when I turned to Monty and said, "Oh yeah, by the way, there's a great flood, and your newly nominated incoming chairman has just been diagnosed with cancer. I really don't know how much time I can spend with you." Down my LCTCS family has spent 4 years with me. I'm driving back from MD Anderson with a 4-year clean bill of health, and I appreciate everybody's support all these years. And to Tim Hardy, who has been an amazing role model and dear friend through this thing from the first time we sat together on this board. Really, really, really appreciate you, Tim, and looking forward to supporting you, Mr. Price, the way I was taught by those guys to support. So looking forward to a great couple of years. Let's keep moving forward. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Steve, for your leadership and your kind words. And I don't know what we'd do without you. And we're glad that you're getting a clean bill of health.
Thanks, Paul.
If I may, Mr. Acting Chairman, I would like to say a few words about our outgoing chair. He's not kidding. There was a point in time there when you get that phone call that says, "Hey, there's a challenge here, health-wise," and it's the call that no one wants to get, and whether it's family or it feels like family as it does with this group. But the one thing that I will tell each of you, regardless of the professional relationships and professional responsibilities, the lesson that we have learned from Stevie Toops over the last few years in his battle with cancer and in his service to this board and in taking on new duties in his day job, all at one time, you have been an inspiration to us all. I appreciate the calm, steady hand. Even in the times of craziness, you've been there. So we very much appreciate you. You have made this organization better because of your background and your character. So very much appreciate you. And to Supervisor Price, we look forward to working with you over the next couple of years in this leadership role and look forward to continuing to move the organization forward. So thanks to both of you.
And Dr. Sullivan, it may take the two of us to keep Mr. Price afloat, but we'll do it, right?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of y'all I can call on. I can tell you that right now. I'm looking at several of them right now on the screen.
Paul, they always say it takes a village to raise an idiot. We got you, bud.
Yeah. Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth, man.
I'm honored to be able to get to work with you. This has been fun. I'm so glad the AT&T operator didn't shut us off 10 minutes ago.
Supervisor Smith, is there anything you need to add?
I think, Mr. Price, Supervisor Smith, maybe, oh, there you go. You're on.
Yep, we were muted. I had to wait until you let me talk again. There's a little control you exercise, which is something we might want to incorporate in the face-to-face meetings. So, well, again, in the interest of time, we do have a memento to present to Chair Toops that expresses some of the same sentiments that we've expressed a short while ago. I'm not going to read the plaque on the Zoom call. I think we've been on the Zoom call enough today, but certainly, again, it expresses our appreciation, Stevie, for your service to the board and to the system. And that's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Are there any announcements to come before the board now?
Mr. Chairman, I would like to recognize that there were no requests for public comment. We did not recognize that at the start of the meeting, but there were no requests for public comment throughout the duration of the meeting.
Good, very good. Thank you, ma'am. I believe I can now request a motion to adjourn the Zoom meeting. Not everybody at once, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Spawn and second by Mr. Roman Hardy, since he hadn't made a motion yet.
Do we have to roll call this?
No, sir, I think we.
No.
You all have a wonderful rest of your day and be sure to keep in tune. Dr. Sullivan, I think, will be at Senate Finance a little bit later today. So thank you all and have a great day.
Thank Everybody you. Be safe.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, y'all
Bye-bye.
take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I hadn't turned it off.
I never know if you want me to clean it.